And then if I go all out today, you don't have anything at me tomorrow or the next day.
You know, you can start at 4 p.m.
And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to something special. Welcome back to the next edition, next season of the HomeStory Cup HSC 26. I'm, of course, Showside VIP. With you, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in the chat, and by everyone over in Krefeld. Oh my god, it's amazing, it's beautiful. We are once again back with some live offline events. It has been far too long. The first live event since EWC, or I mean, technically we did have the events in Bulgaria as well. True. I should say the first live event on the new patch and the new map pool. And here we go. We're jumping into our first series. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the Swedish Zerg player, the yellow Zerg, representing Team Roddy. It is Fiant. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss, representing his new team, Streamer Zone. It is Nightmare. And if you are in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you believe will take the series. Best of luck, as it's gonna be a long day. For those that are curious, this is of course a 3-day event. 3 days of StarCraft, 3 days of HomeStory Cup. Day 1 is going to be Group A and Group D. Sorry, Group A and Group B. Day 2 is going to be Group C and Group D. So 2 groups a day here for the first 2 days. And of course, we have the playoffs on the final day. Oh boy, so 3 days of StarCraft. Here on the CranKy Ducklings, we are going to be the English B stream here for the group stage, of HomeStory Cup. When it comes to the playoffs, they will not need us, so we're only going to be here for the group stage. Then we will join the rest of you in the audience, in the Twitch chat, watching the final day of HomeStory Cup. Let's go. So 3 days straight of StarCraft. Look forward to it. As a reminder, as well, as was being said and pointed out in the chat, we are live with the new patch, and there are some bugs. There are some bugs on the ladder, some bugs in the game. They have, some of them at least, or most of them have been fixed in the new mod. There is a mod that we are going to be using for the tournament. Most likely is going to be used for all events moving forward until it's fixed in the base game. But there is a mod that has fixed and has adjusted the Cyclone, as there were some unintended changes made to the Cyclone that were kind of left in the live version of the game. Likewise, the Oracle as well, and some other bug fixes are mixed in. So as a heads up, I believe it is linked in the chat. The TL thread has been linked in the chat, and you can have a look yourself at what the mod does entail. Here we go. But for the most part, the Cyclone has been adjusted, and the Revelation cast range has been reduced from 12 to 9. So has been reduced when it comes to its cast range. And from here, we can settle in. We can send them to our first series. Again, we can go over the group stage or the group itself after this series as well, as there is going to be some downtime as our players do get ready. So there's a lot to go over, a lot of players, a lot of matches. We're here in Group A. We have 6 players in total, and it is round robin. Oh boy, it's gonna be like a 10 to 12 hour cast. So strap yourselves in. I was actually having a look, for those that are curious, we were actually, as we're going for a Twilight Council, there's something more aggressive here out of Nightmare. But last edition of HomeStory Cup, we were also the B stream, and I was checking day 1, I think our cast was 11 hours, and day 2 it was 10 hours. So, you know, between 10 and up to 12 hours at most, we're gonna be here with the group stage. So, let's go. I'm ready to strap myself in, Fabia. Oh no. It's gonna be a long one, Pat. It's gonna be long. We'll go all night long and morning long as well. Let's go. As again, it is going to be a more aggressive start here by Nightmare, going for a Twilight Council into Glaives. Is going to be pulling out. No, actually staying in gas. Interesting. There is a Robo Fold. There should be 4 Gate Glaive Adepts. The fact that Nightmare, there we go. I was going to say, if he doesn't pull out of gas, this could be Glaives plus Dark Templar, but he does finally pull out of gas. 2 and 2, 4 workers mining in total. That is enough to facilitate for 4 gateways. So 4 Gate Glaive Adepts here from Nightmare. Fiant has yet to piece it all together. Back at home, does go for a safety Roach Horn. Lings, they all try to flood in, blast the block. Well, the links are blocked, they are denied. Nightmare holds. Nightmare holds, he does defend. Again, Fiant is where there's something is a little bit wrong, something is amiss. For all he knows, oh, never mind, he's scattered. He's scattered with the Overlord. He is fully aware of the Twilight Council. It still could be Glaive Adepts for all that Fiant knows, so momentarily we should be seeing Spores, and there it is. Spore, was almost thrown down here as Lings, they do get eyes on the move out. So Fiant cutting some corners, delaying for a little bit. There we go, Spore now on the way. So again, for all Fiant knows, there could be Dark Templar alongside this. It is not uncommon to go Glaives plus DTs or just straight up DTs. So Fiant is trying to get ready for whatever is to come. Meanwhile, Adepts, they have arrived. They are moving out across the map. Nightmare, he's transitioning already here, actually, before his Adept Warp in. So minimal Adepts allows him to actually tech up quite quickly here into a bay into Disruptors. I imagine Disruptors, but it could be Colossus. Regardless of the bay is on the way. Nightmare shading in towards that natural. Does a threaten the shade, but doesn't quite commit. Just poking wherever he can. Rotating over towards the third. Does a rotate over. More Adepts on the way. So far, denying any kind of mining here at the third base. So far, Fiant hasn't lost anything yet. He's still on a low drone count, but hasn't taken any major losses. As Nightmare keeps rotating, Lings, they get across the map. They do kill the Stalker. Not bad. The Stalker does go down, but alas, they are denied entry here into the natural. The bay is now done, and we should soon be seeing that Disrupt production. There it is. First Disruptors on the way. You know, Lings, they collapse on the Adepts. The Adepts, they trade well against the Lings at least, but the Roach count's getting higher. They do commit to the shade. They get the hell out of there. They pull back. Lings across the map. They're going for the Cybercore. Despite the warp in, is the Cybercore going to go down? Ooh, it survives. Whew. Cybercore does survive, does live. So far, so good. Fiant is holding. Meanwhile, Lings, they do get across the map. They're at least trying to force back the army. Little does Fiant know that Nightmare, he's been working on that next step for quite some time, and the first Disruptor has arrived. Now, as a heads up here, when it comes to the new patch, the Disruptor is a little bit less effective in this matchup. Oh my god! Cybercore is up! Not gonna go down. 13 HP. Oh my god, so very close. Does barely survive. Very clutch movement with that Purification Nova as well. Meanwhile, Adepts, they get across the map. They're trading with the Lings. Files do not quite connect, and Nightmare, I should say, he does survive. Does get away with most of his Adepts, and now it's time to reinforce. Now, when it comes to the Nova, as I was just saying, it is less effective than it used to be. Previously, in the previous patch, it would one-shot Roaches. Roaches and Ravagers would be one-shot by the Purification Nova. Now that is no longer the case. Still does a lot of damage, but now it just softens up the Roaches. It takes 2 Novas to kill a Roach instead of the 1 previously. So bear that in mind. As more Adepts they have warped in. Fiant's going to be committing. I mean, that's a lot of Adepts. A lot of Adepts pushing forward. Disruptors moving in as well, zoning the army away. Fiant attempts to saturate the third base, but last is going to be denied. Third base on the fire. Nova goes up. Ooh, the dodge though. Bigger connection on the right-hand side. Adepts, they clean up those weakened Roaches. It's one of those things where, sure, Roaches, they survive a Nova, but they die nonetheless to the Adepts. So far, good connection here by Nightmare. He shades into the natural. Drones are going down, and the Roaches are out of position. 4 drones falling. And they keep on shading in towards them. I mean, the Novas, the workers, they get caught transferring. Not like this. 26 drones going down. Oh my god, that is critical damage. That's more workers than are currently alive here for Fiant. So it was less about the Adepts, more about, I guess the disruption here on the defense. Fiant's getting caught out. Adepts, they shade on out as well. Novas, they're coming back in. Disruptors, are still alive. The Prism taking a lot of hits, a lot of damage. But the Novas are reset. Once again, nice splits here by Fiant. Very nice splits, but regardless, second Nova doesn't quite go up. And Fiant is all in. At this point, Fiant is completely all in. He's got 23 drones behind this. 23 workers, barely an economy. And it's all or nothing for Fiant. Back at home, what does Nightmare have in Immortal production? I do like this. Immortals are amassing. Shield batteries just now starting. Shield batteries are late. They are delayed. So Fiant can still pull this off, but those Disruptors, they're ready for another shot. The Novas are getting ready. Third base a little bit ambitious there from a Nightmare. So he's not mining from the third. It's under fire as we speak. Behind this, Fiant is droning. Ooh, that's a bold move. That's a bold move here for Fiant. He's droning up. Warpins at the third base. While they graze the army. No big connections, though. Yeah, he's going to try to take the fight here at the third. The army moves out. Nova's going up. Zoning back the army. Looks like the expansion is going to go down. And the Nexus falls. That is good damage, but again, we're looking for more. Fiant, he wants his Immortals. Up. Immortals almost get surrounded. Barely to escape. 1 Disruptor goes down. Nice pickup. The second Disruptor almost falls as well. Again, these are nice pickups here, but Fiant still needs more. Oh. Immortal gets low. Nova does graze the army. That's a lot of Roaches going down. Cybercore falls. That means only Zealots can reinforce. Charge is not done. Ooh, but the punish. The Queens are getting caught out. And Nightmare is more than happy to engage here. Lings are trickling in. Up! Last, the control is solid from Nightmare. He does save his Stalkers, chasing down the Queens. Every Queen is going to fall. And And back at home, what does Fiant have to work with? He's still on 31 drones, still down in economy, down in workers. Lings, they rotate across the map. They're headed towards the would-be third. Nightmare is aware. And Nightmare knows. And the all-in is here. 3 Immortals with the main army. The slow looks like they're coming in. Let's go. Bowser connect. And so, but you don't need charge. You don't need speed. The Zealots, they're getting on top of the roaches anyway. They're collapsing on top of the army, and there's almost nothing left here for Fiant. Oh, Lings, they're coming from behind. They do catch out 2 of the Immortals. Not bad. But GG and Nightmare will take game number 1. GG. Nightmare will take a lead here again. Was a bit of a more delayed all-in from Nightmare. Oh. As we are getting into our next game here. Let's go. I say delayed all-in. I mean, yeah, it did take a little bit longer to really get going. To take longer to really get going, just because of the faster transition into the bay, right? Into the bay, into disruptors. Oh, and here we go. Here we go. As we are getting into our next setup. We're getting into game number 2 here. It's going to be on Amygdala. Sorry, I was just a little bit distracted just because I had to make the lobby. Had to make the lobby, had to get things going. But yeah, I mean, again, it was a bit of a more delayed all-in with the disruptors, and it was brutal seeing those Novas pop off in the mineral line. What was that? If you remember, 26 drones went down to the Purification Novas, to the harass of, I guess it wasn't just the Novas, but also the Adepts as well. Before that, up until that point, Fiant, he was defending quite well for himself, but was pulled apart in the end and was caught out. And with that, we're now getting into game number 2 and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Amygdala. We have the Swedish Zerg player, the yellow Zerg, representing Team Roddy. It is Fiant. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss, representing Streamer Zone. It is Nightmare. Here we go. But yeah, it was just really rough, Fiant having those transferring workers caught out the way that they were, right? It's like the Novas popping off, the Adepts getting in, like it was I would say the game-winning move for Nightmare, because if you remember, after that, Fiant was all in, right? Fiant, he went down to 23 workers, he had no economy, he had to commit with the all-in, and in the end, Nightmare, he was more than ready for it with the Immortals, with defensive disruptors. Even with Nightmare losing the third base, it didn't really matter, right? It didn't really matter at that point. It's like the damage had been done. But now we're settling into game 2. Going to be settling in, and we'll see if Nightmare once again goes for an aggressive build. As a reminder, it was a Twilight Council opener into Glaive Adepts from Nightmare in game 1, and now we're loading into Amygdala. Amygdala, which is one of the smaller maps in the map pool, does feature something a little bit more unique that I don't think we've seen before. This was not live during the PTR, but in the live edition of the game, if you haven't seen, we have these massive creep tumors. These massive creep tumors here that are bleeding out over time. You can't actually see them right now, but ever since the start of the game, they have been slowly reducing, or their HP has been slowly reducing. It's been going down over time as there is no creep, and eventually by the 757 mark, just before 8 minutes, they die by themselves. They expire. Of course, you can speed that up with your own army, with your own units. You can speed it up, you can attack and kill them yourselves, otherwise it will just naturally, die off. They do act like creep tumors or like Zerg buildings in the sense that, fun fact, we did find this out a couple of days ago during casting, is that if you spread creep, and if the creep does get to these giants, like infested buildings, it will actually stop them from expiring. Like, they will maintain their HP. So technically you can spread creep here. I don't really see that being like necessarily like effective. Like I don't know if that really matters. It's like a nice little tidbit of information. You can technically spread creep here to keep it alive, but I don't think it's really gonna be too impactful overall. And there it is. You can see here the HP almost at the halfway mark on this debris. I don't know what to call them, because in game they're called debris, but clearly it's something different. It's like, yeah, it's like a giant tumor, like creep tumor sort of thing, kind of, with massive tentacles. So yeah, it's kind of a nice little feature here of the map that I don't think we've actually had, you know, buildings that slowly die over time in SE2 too often, or even before this. So I do love to see it. As our players are settling in, this time it is going to be a Stargate opener by Nightmare, Stargate into Oracle, something more standard, something more macro-oriented. Of course, another big feature is the goal base. We have goal bases here in the center of the map for both players, and of course, once you knock down these rocks, or once these other buildings expire themselves, you can gain access to the other side of that mineral wall and harass. So if you gain map control, it can be quite difficult for either player to really mine from that goal base. Meanwhile, Lings, they poke in, they threaten the Adepts. Nothing too major, the Oracle was revealed, and Fiant knows. Fiant is fully aware of a more macro start. Lings, they hit the third. So far, so good, though. Nightmare's keeping up. Keeps his third base safe. Just now moving out across the map with those Adepts now that he has access to these Oracles. Ooh, and that is a very fast Twilight Council. You have my attention here. So basically, the Twilight Council started around the same time the third base got thrown down, like a couple of seconds later. Because of the fast Twilight Council, this screams Glaive Adepts, or potentially the beginning of an 8-gate Blink all-in. Now, the reason why I say all-in, the reason why I'm leaning towards aggression here, is because the Forge was delayed, but it looks like it was merely delayed, which means this should be Blink, as the Forge is still on the way. Meanwhile, Oracles hit the third base, 5 drones already, not bad. 5 workers go down, and the Oracles, they get the hell out of there. Now, once we see the Forge kind of coming into the mix, this does rule out Glaive Adepts. Glaive Adepts are they don't really benefit from +1 upgrades, so this should head towards either Blink or Charge. And you can see here that this build seems a little bit off for Nightmare, because, I mean, this Twilight Council has been done for quite some time, only now Blink is starting. So a little bit of an inefficient setup there from Nightmare. Regardless, is getting into his upgrades. Lings, they do hit the third, but the shield battery is done. Adepts are in position. Ooh, and hello, Fiant. He has been joining up to 3-base saturation. He's still not quite there. Cutting work is at 53, and that is Overlord speed. Overlord speed is on the way. What does this mean? Most likely, it's an all-in. It's going to be a German taxi, Roach Queen all-in. I mean, hey, he's in Krefeld, he's in Germany. It makes sense, Pappy, it makes sense. How did Fiant get to TaKeTV to HomeStory Cup? Via taxi. As the Overlords are getting ready, the taxis are going to be gearing up here. Once we do have the lair finished, we gain access to Dropper Lords, and there they are. Dropper Lords are on the way. Ooh, but the Oracles, they did catch a glimpse of that for a moment there. Did Nightmare notice? Back at home is setting up more gateways. Only one shield battery here at the third. There we go. He does get the revelation, and I believe he does spot the Dropper Lords. He knows. Nightmare now knows what's going on. There we go. Immediately shield batteries. We need extra shield batteries as quickly as possible at the third base, at the natural as well. There we go. They're throwing them down at the natural, as Fiant is going all in. And we'll see if Nightmare can hold. We'll see if he can defend. More Lings, Roaches, Queens are all gearing up. Again, Fianti cut workers at 53. That is, again, just under 3 best saturation. That's 3 gases saturated alongside all these mineral patches. And here we go. Fiant is pushing. So far, so good. Does bait out some of the stasis traps, but there are so many stasis traps. This is the benefit here of the NG overcharge. Massive stasis goes off. Oh my god, the Queens are exposed. No, the Queens get caught out as well. Overlord is going down, and this is a brutal defense here. Nightmare, he will completely shut this down. Ay, ay, ay. More Lings coming in from behind. More stasis traps going up. And again, this is the benefit of the NG overcharge. There were just that many more stasis traps because of the Oracles. Because of the overcharge. Lings just trying to kill Absin. The Queens, they do break out of the stasis. Shield batteries, they're still putting in a lot of work. The Lings are dishing out quite a bit of damage here. And can Fiant still pull this off? Does pick up a couple of those Stalkers. Ooh, 2 Stalkers go down, but only 2. In the end, Nightmare, he shuts this down, he defends, he holds. I'm afraid to look at the use loss tab. 4 Stalkers. 4 Stalkers went down for 5 Queens, a Ravager, 64 Lings, the Dropper Lords. And with that, now Fiant is in trouble. Yeah, he's going to bleed another Queen falls. And Nightmare can just chase Fiant down. At the same time, he's going for a Desperation Ling counterattack to try to drag the army back home. Fleet Beacon's on the way, that makes sense. I mean, Nightmare from this point forward, he can just rush into Sky Toss. There's not really much to stop him. Oh, as I say that, the wall's on the wall. Hero. As things, they flood into the main. And Nightmare just slightly out of position with that sentry. Lings, they will distract, they will drag the army back home, and this will buy time. Now, more importantly, I don't know if you noticed something crucial here. Fiant is taking an expansion, But Fiant has not been droning. He has not been droning. He has not been taking extra gases here. He's still only on 3. Fiant is making purely roaches. Roaches, lynx, and queens. So it looks like Fiant, after the failed all-in, is getting ready for a second all-in. Now this makes sense, because after the failed all-in, you can't macro. Like you can't macro out of this. You're too far behind. Like trying to settle into a long macro game from this point and try to get into the mid to late game. I mean, it's just going to be an uphill battle here for Fiant. So the hope here for Fiant is that Nightmare expands and maybe is a little bit too greedy, over probes, makes too many workers, takes up too hard, and then they get caught out by the second all-in. That's the hope. Is the hope for Fiant. Is that Nightmare gets caught out. Meanwhile, he rotates over again. The rocks or the center debris has fallen. Nightmare moves out. That means he's not at home to defend. With the Stalkers at least. There are Zealots, so the Slowlots. Slowlots collapse in, but there are the Bailings. Yeah, the slow bangs into the Slowlots. Meanwhile, across the map, Hatchery goes down into the recall. Stalkers get away. Nice pick off there by Nightmare. This means that much less larva for the all-in. So killing the Hatchery is actually impactful. With that, Nightmare now knows how committed Fiant is, of course. He's getting into his gold. Throwing down more shield batteries, working on +3. Mothership has arrived. The Mothership is here, and again, it's a brand new Mothership, now with extra DPS. With extra lasers. It's big again. It's big, it's huge, it's massive. And we'll see if Fiant can break this. As he does rush forward, collapsing on top of the Stalkers. Stalkers, they do blink away. One Stalker going down, Bailing Speed does kick in. He's going for the mineral line. But Nightmare, he pulls away in time. He does escape up for the most part. Yeah, the probes, they get away. Only 3 workers go down. Very nice defense here by Nightmare. And again, the longer this goes on, the worse it is for Fiant. Oh, as the probes are going to fall here in this defense. They get brought into the Ling Bane. 16 workers going down. Stalkers under fire as well. Well, we're running out of Ling Bane now. The roaches are exposed. I feel like the Mothership can help. Yeah, we go. I'm like, what's the Mothership doing? There we go. Activates Cloak. Slows on the army. The Queen's already slow, and GG gets called. Nightmare will survive and will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Oh. As I update the lovely admins. But GG, well played. Nightmare will take the series 2-0. We'll advance on. Oh, I said we'll advance on. We'll start things off here in the group stage with a nice positive score. With a nice scoreline here, and Fiant, again, game 1 had potential as well. Game 1 had a lot more potential. That's outside of the dead workers, of course, which forced the all-in. So it was a rough kind of scenario there for Fiant. And here in game 2, Fiant committed to the all-in, but alas, Nightmare scouted. Right, he saw it coming ahead of time. He saw the drop lords with the revelation, and as a result, he was able to react and respond with shield batteries, with stasis traps, more importantly. GG, GG, well played. GG, well played, and with that, Nightmare will take it. We'll take it in the end, and now we are getting ready here for our next series. Up next on the channel, I mean, you know what? We have some time. you know what? We have some time, Pop. We have some time. Let's switch our scenes over and head on over to the bracket to figure out where we are and where we are headed. Let's go. Let us go. One moment here, because again, there's a lot to go over when it comes to the group stage. There is a lot to go over. And bam, there we go. We have our 4 groups. We have our 4 groups here on Wikipedia. And we are starting things off with Group A. We have Group A ahead of us here. Looks like we have our series wrapping up. Already we have some results here from even the mainstream. You have Gumiho. Gumiho takes down Skillless 2-0. Likewise, Lambo currently leading the series against Battle B 1-0 as well. They're currently mid-series. And of course, Nightmare takes down Fiant 2-0 as well. So we have the first round wrapping up. We have the following rounds as well. I should also emphasize the players here in the group. We have Gumiho, Nightmare, Lambo, Battle B, Skillless, and Fiant. 6 players in Group A, and only 2 will advance on. Honestly, it's a really brutal format. For groups of 6, where only 2 players advance, it's brutal. It's very brutal here. It's very cutthroat, very little room for error. We did have predictions during the podcast last night, going over all these groups, but we found ourselves where having a bit of a discussion about Group A and Group D. Group A and Group D seem the most competitive here out of these groups. Some of these other groups, it's a little bit more clear cut as to who are the favorite players making it through, but the other groups are a lot more up in the air. Group A being one of them. Like again, Gumiho, Nightmare, Lambo, Skillus are all quite competitive. Battlebee and Fiant, on a good day, they can threaten them as well. So it's kind of hard to predict like how these groups will pan out and which 2 players will advance on. And it's still a little bit too early to tell. As again, we have 5 rounds. We have 5 rounds coming up ahead of us. If you're curious what series is up next, we're going to be following Fiant. We're going to be following Fiant for the most part here tonight. Up next is going to be Fiant versus Gumiho in the next round. And I believe they're ready. I mean, Gumiho just finished his series. Fiant finished his. So Gumiho and Fiant is up next. Here we go. So we do need a moment here to set things up and to settle on in. Of course, oh right, the predictions. How could I forget? And predictions are being paid out. As some people are pointing out in the chat, of course, when it comes to HomeStory Cup, we have a very historic moment here in HomeStory Cup, and that is the fact that Maru is here for the first time. Maru, he is at HomeStory Cup for the very first time here tonight. A momentous occasion. He has never been to a HomeStory Cup before, so now he's finally here. So we have some of the best players in the world. We have Cyril, we have Clem, we have Maru, we have Rainer as well. It's crazy. It's going to be insane. Is it going to be insane? Oh, apparently predictions didn't start. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay, hold on. So my apologies. For some reason, like the predictions didn't quite activate. But for the next one, for the next series, predictions will be open. So I'll be sure to be all over that. My apologies. We'll get that going for the next series. But again, up next, Gumiho versus Fiant. Until then, we're going to be going on a break. We're going to be going on a short break. The players need some time to get their vetoes underway, and once they're done, we'll jump in. See you soon. Obviously, there's a lot to go over when it comes to the other groups as well. Group B, Group C, Group D as well. But we'll kind of delve a little bit further into these groups as the night progresses. Again, it's going to be a long night. We'll get there. We'll get there. For now, our attention is on Group A. It's going to be entirely in Group A. So we're going to be going on that short break. And when we come back, we will have our next series. See you soon. See you soon. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that lovely Brutal OSC as we have returned with our second series of the night. We returned with our second best of 3 here in Group A of HomeStory Cup 26. Oh boy, we just wrapped up with Nightmare versus Fiant, and now we're going live here with our TVZ. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ultra Love, we have the yellow Zerg player from the land of Sweden representing Team Brody. It is Fiant. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player, the reigning champion of HomeStory Cup himself. It is Gumiho. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. Again, I do apologize for not hosting the predictions for the first series of the night. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. But now they are live in the chat, so place your bets while you can. And as a reminder, this is going to be a prediction for the series, not just for the game. So best of luck, as we are going to be settling in back at home. So far, Hatch Gas Pool standard open out of Fiant. Meanwhile, Gumiho, it's been a while since I've seen this build, not gonna lie, it's been a couple of months. Looks to be Turax Reaper. Oh boy, I say a couple of months. Yeah, actually like a month or so, maybe a little bit more than that. We have seen this build, at least more recently, be relatively popular on post-youth in the previous map pool, but now here in the current map pool, I haven't seen Bjorn embrace this, I haven't seen Oliveira embrace this, but Gumiho, he's going for the Turax Reaper. Let's go. Now, this build is designed to deny and delay the third. Delay the third base for as long as possible and get into a macroeconomic game from here into a 2-1-1. This can lead into a 3-Rax Reaper. It can lead into a 4-Rax follow-up as well. There's a lot of variety, or there's a lot of different tech paths that you can go down after this, which is what makes it so scary and so versatile, and we'll see if Fiant can piece it all together. Overlord has arrived, and Fiant will get eyes on the Raxes on the low ground. So Fiant knows. He knows at least about the 2-Rax Reaper. He should be going a little bit further in to see the timing of the CC, or to see if there's a 3rd Rax further in the main. So Fiant needs a bit of a further scout here. Reapers are moving out, and back at home, Fiant, he should be prioritizing Ling's speed. Oh, he went gasless. Okay. Fiant, okay, he went for a 15-15. Lings are moving out, but the Reaper has arrived. Now, because Fiant did open up gasless, this does mean that his Ling speed is going to be delayed, which means his 3rd is going to be heavily delayed here. Reaper dives in, almost gets a drone. Quick move there to Fiant, does pivot away. So far, no losses yet. Lings move out to try to harass across the map, but back at home, there are more Reapers on the way. And again, the goal of this build here for Gumiho is to delay the 3rd, and so far he has done so. And usually you break out and you can finally expand with Ling speed, but there is no Ling speed. There were no gases. Fiant is going to be contained for a little bit longer. So a rough start for Fiant. Meanwhile, the Reapers, they've rotated over towards the natural. Queen's out of position. Queen's not here, and drones are going down. We get 1. We get 2 worker kills already. Ay. 4 drones do 4. Lings across the map. They do nibble away at the front door, but there's another Reaper popping out. And Gumiho races back home. Now, because the Reapers, because they race back home, this tells me that Fiant can finally expand and finally take a 3rd. But the delay is quite severe here. So far so good for Gumiho. Behind this, again, he's expanding and he's getting into a 3cc 3-Rax. This is a variation that I haven't seen in quite some time. Okay, so this is going to be a very hefty bio army with Stim. For now, though, we do have the Reapers going for the 3rd base. Can they force another cancel? Oh. They can, and they will. They force a cancel here on the 3rd. Again, Link speed is not even halfway done. It was already delayed. 2 more drones falling, and this is getting out of hand. This is getting out of control. 3, 4, up to 5. Can we get up to 6 drone kills? Oh, we can. 6 workers go down, and this is too much. This is too much damage here already. Reapers, they dive into the main. They got a full scout as well. They got eyes on the would-be Roach Warren. And Gumiho, he knows about the eventual Roach push. 3rd base just now restarting. Reaper does confirm that the Roach Warren did complete. Can chip away at the 3rd. Confirms that it is on the way. And from here, Fiant may just be forced into an all-in. Meanwhile, back at home, the build of choice here that we were pointing out earlier, fast third base. Fast third CC here out of Gumiho. What does this mean? This means delayed starport. Delayed starport, delayed medevac production, more importantly. But what we have to make up for that is Mass Marine. Mass Marine Marauder here. Stim is on the way into combat shields thereafter. It's going to be a hefty bio army here to work with. We even have the bunker on the low ground as well. And this is all just leading to a faster third base and into a stim time. Meanwhile, Fiant back at home. He's making roaches. Looks just to be like safety roaches here from Fiant. He is saturating. He's rallying over towards his third. But again, it has been a very delayed start for Fiant. Looking at the units lost tab, again, it was 8 drones in total, 8 worker kills, an overlord, 5 lings. Massive delay on the third base. Has been a disastrous start for Fiant. And Gumiho has a choice to make. He can either move that here and now. He could push if he wanted to. He could push with Stim, or he could wait for medevacs. As starport's still on the way and the reactors in production on the factory, that is for an add-on swap into medevac production. And you can see here, Gumiho, he doesn't care. Yeah, he's moving up before medevacs. And Fiant, okay, he does have enough roaches. He should survive this. He's got 5 queens. He's got how many roaches? 10. 10 roaches, 5 queens. He should be okay here. Marines, they spot the roaches. They want none of that. They back the hell off. Up. Forces them in. You trade here with the roaches. It's going to be 5 Marines for 2 roaches. Gumiho does escape with most of his army. And again, he wasn't really expecting this many roaches. If Fiant didn't make this many roaches this early on, if he had cut corners, if he was a little bit greedier, then he may have just died. He may have just died. He would have lost queens, would have lost workers. It would have been brutal. Alas, thankfully, Fiant survives. Takes the 4th base. Meanwhile, Gumiho, he backs off, knocks down the tower, and the medevacs have arrived, which means he can move out. He can move out and he can stim more freely here. Also, before I forget, I do apologize, but it did happen during the break, so I have to point it out, of course. Shout out to Janij82. God, thank you so much for subscribing for the first time with Twitch Prime. Thank you so much. Again, did happen during the break, so I apologize for not giving you a shout out earlier, but thank you. Thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Hope you enjoy your emotes. Hope you enjoy your replay packs. As Marines, they stim in, they collapse on the roaches. And there's just too much fire. The boys are being pulled. And the roaches are going to be overwhelmed. Queens are coming in to reinforce, but there's only 1 roach left. Now there's none. And the boys are being pulled, but the damage has already been dealt at this point. And the bio army, they can just stand and fight. They can stand, they can fight, they take down 22 workers. Oh no. 22 drones, 5 queens, and every single roach that waddles in. And Gumiho is not done, he's still rallying across the map. Going for the kill. And again, it was just a really rough start for Fiant. Just all the dead workers, the delay on the third base, just a really rough start for him. And it snowballed into this kind of game state. Where if the early game goes that poorly, it's just so difficult to recover. It's why I assumed that Fiant would be going for an all-in, but he did attempt to macro out of this. Alas, once again, trying to hold on here against that tank. More reinforcements have arrived. No. He just wants a tank. GG gets called, and Gumiho takes game number 1. GG. Gumiho does take a lead in the series. And with that, we are getting ready here for game number 2. It's going to be on Whispers of Gold. It's going to be a Whispers of Gold here. We go. And yeah, a lot of it did just come down to the early game defense regarding the 2 Reactor Reaper build, getting all those workers, forcing even a cancel on the third base. And here we go, we're getting into game number 2, and we'll see if Fiant can recover and fight back, or if Gumiho will claim the series. Oh boy. Again, it was a very aggressive start by Gumiho in game 1, going 2-Rax Reaper, but I don't know if we're going to necessarily see that every game in this series. We may see a much more standard opener. If so, then our Zerg player can look a little bit more comfortable to actually get into their game and get into their build of choice. I hope that we can get there, but we'll see. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing himself, currently teamless, but the reigning champion of HomeStory Cup, it is Gumiho. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the yellow Zerg player from the land of Sweden, currently down in this series, but we'll see if he can bounce back and force the ace match. For Team Roddy, it is Fiant. Here we go. It's the same build. 2-Rax Reaper at a Gumiho. We have this set up here on the low ground. Now, this could still be a 3-Rax. We could see 2-Rax on the low ground, and we could see 1-Rax in the main. Again, we're loading into Whispers of Gold. This is a very small map, very short rush distance by ground. Aggression is favored on Whispers of Gold, so will not be surprised if Gumiho does commit into a 3rd-Rax as well. From the side of Fiant, now, as a reminder, a big reason as to why this dealt so much damage and why Fiant had such a hard time in the previous game is because, if you remember, Fiant went for a gasless opener. Fiant's link speed was heavily delayed in game 1, intentionally so, and he was punished for that because of his build of choice. This time, Hatch Gas Pool. Last time there was kind of a 15-15 setup. This time, Hatch Gas Pool. This time, link speed is going to finish faster. Now, this will still mean that Fiant's 3rd base is going to be delayed, but it also means that he's going to be able to reclaim his 3rd base that much faster compared to game 1. So far, so good. Is taking or saturating his gases. Overlord gets across the map, and I was getting ahead of myself. We do have the low ground Rax set up here, but only 1-Rax, not 2-Rax Reaper. Interesting. This looks like the special build. If you recall, special did have a build where he would go here, Rax into factory on the low ground, into a CC. Of course, CC was before the factory, but yeah, we do have that low ground set up here. Now, there's a bit of a give and take. On the one hand, your natural base is walled off. Your natural is walled off, so your natural is safer and more secure than otherwise previously. The downside is that your production is exposed, and trying to go into a starport into an add-on top can be really awkward here for the defending Terran player. On top of that, if Fiant commits to a roach all-in, I mean, if they break the natural, they break your production. You can camp the Rax, the factory, the starport. All the production should be here on the low ground, and it is going to be vulnerable and exposed. So, we'll see if Fiant takes the baits. We'll see if he does go for a roach all-in. For now, is investing into link speed. Link speed is on the way, joining up that natural. Reaper poking in. Gets eyes on the 3rd. The 3rd is well timed here for Fiant. And again, is Fiant tempted to be aggressive against this? Oh my god. Speaking of aggression, Gumiho is going to be the first to really pull the trigger here. Armory. Armory is on the way. That is going to be for a Hellbat push. And for the time being, Fiant is in the dark. Now Fiant just securing himself, spreading creep, saturating his bases, getting into link speed. Nothing too crazy so far here by Fiant. Everything's looking standard for the time being. As Gumiho is amassing more Hellions, there's that starport going for the add-on swap. I mean, so far it looks like a 1-1-1, looks like a Banshee play here, and it is, but again, there's kind of a twist added to the build that so far Fiant is unaware of. And here, oh my god, early Hellbat morph in, Jesus! Hellbats, they just morph in, they go for the Queens! A very early timing here from Gumiho. 4 Hellbats and 2 Reapers, he gets 1, he gets 2 Queens already! A very peculiar build here. I mean, this hits so much faster than any other standard Hellbat push. Just morphs in with 4 Hellions, gets 4 drones already, there's 1 Queen left, he's waddling in! At the same time, the 1 reinforcing Hellion, there we go, they morph into Hellbats, they're coming in towards the main. Ooh, Lings, they get roasted. And that final Queen, it's so close to falling. 1 more volley, 1 more shot, the Reapers, they want it! And they get it. 1 Queen left. Meanwhile, the Hellbats, they go for the 3rd, they don't reinforce the main army. The final Queen, oh, the final Queen goes down! And this may just be game. This has been far too much damage already. How many losses here? 5 Queens. 5 Queens. 21 Lings have gone down. The Hellbats are finally being cleaned up. They're so low. The boys are pulled. But at this point, it's just already been critical damage. The final Hellbat goes down, and remember, this was not necessarily an all-in. There's a third CC on the way. Remember, Banshee production behind this. Stim is in production. Cloak. The first Banshee has yet to pop. But this is a wild build out of Gumiho. Ay, ay, ay. Let's go. And as it settles, Gumiho's ahead. Gumiho, he's got 42 workers plus mules. Fiant, he's on 37 drones, still redroning, resaturating. More importantly, the production. Fiant, he has between 3 bases, 2 queens. He has only 2 queens, which means no spreading creep, of course, limited inchecks available as well. The production, the macro is going to be affected here for Fiant, as he's rebuilding his queen count. Also, because of the low amount of queens, it means that the Banshees have more free reign. Of course, there are spores, thankfully. There's spores in every single mineral line, but Banshees, they can still find some damage here. As we're waiting for the second Banshee. Cloak is done. Gumiho already taking his third. Racing Fire, of course. And the Banshees should soon move out. 2 Banshees can one-shot workers, and there we go. Do move out across the map. Back at home, we have, I believe, 4 queens? No, 3. Okay, 3 queens so far. 4th queen is on the way. Banshees move out. They delay the 4th. Ooh, they get a drone. 4th base is delayed. Yeah, no mobile detection. Lair is still in production. Drones are going down. And Queen's not quite in position. It's going to be 3 drone kills and a Spore as well. Spore goes down. Queen's notified there's no transfuse. One more shot. Oh my god. Queen goes down. Ay, ay, ay. And he can just get another Queen. Yeah, 2nd Queen falls. 3rd Queen as well. Again, this is all because of the Queen losses earlier. Remember, 5 Queens died to the Hellbat defense. During the Hellbat defense. And this is getting out of hand. I mean, there are Lings ready for a counterattack across the map, but there are just so many Marines, so many Hellbats. Stim is done. The Lings shouldn't really find much damage. They head for the 3rd. But the army's in position. Yeah, Gumiho is all over this. All over this, still getting more worker kills. 12 drones to the Banshees. And he wants another Queen. No detection. Another Queen goes down. Oh my god, the value. 8 Queen kills already. And that's just free damage on the roaches. Just free hits on the roaches as well. The base itself under fire. Getting very low. Finally, 1 Banshee almost goes down, but barely escapes. And here comes the move out. Here comes the main army. Gumiho, he has 1-1 compared to the 0-0 Fiant. And again, Gumiho with the Gumi builds. Like, as a reminder, the first move out was crazy. Remember, it was 4 Hellions. It was just 4 Hellion double Reaper harass, which suddenly turned into 4 Hellbats. And it was with that 4 Hellbat push where Gumiho was able to get 5 Queen kills, 21 drones. Did reinforce with a 5th and 6th Hellbat, to be fair, if you recall. There were a couple of reinforcing Hellions and Hellbats. But that first move out basically ended the game. And now here comes the finishing blow here. The final touch. 3rd base goes down. No additional Queens to defend. They got picked up earlier by the Banshees. Speaking of Banshees, they're still alive. They're still adding DPS. Getting more economic damage. Finally, 1 Banshee goes down. Let's go. That's a kill, not a cancel. That's a kill on the 4th base. Marines are down on the roaches. GG gets called, and Gumiho will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Very impressive performance there by Gumiho. Very interesting builds. I mean, game 1 was more of a standard game. I mean, it was 2x Reaper, but I mean, that's a little bit more standard. Game 2 was a little bit more, was wild. We typically don't see 4 Hellion, like, Hellbat pushes like that. Like, that was a crazy early armory timing from Gumiho. Of course, Hellions did move out across the map a little bit faster because of the placement of the factory and the build of choice, of course. But yeah, just a really early armory, and that caught Fiant with his pants down. Again, Fiant was not expecting the armory that early on, Hellbats that early on, and because of that, the Queens got caught immediately. It was like, I want to say 2 or 3 2 or 3 queens went down in the first couple of seconds, and that kind of snowballed out of control from there, with Gumiho just dealing critical damage. GG. GG, well played. A Wilds build here in game 2 by Gumiho, and with that he does take a lead in the series. Or sorry, he does take the series in the end, 2-0. And Fiant has had a bit of a harder time here so far in this group stage. What I will say is that he did have a stronger showing against Nightmare. I still look back on like game 1, for example, and even game 2, was able to hold his own. Here, I mean, Gumiho is a heavy favorite. As a reminder, Gumiho is the reigning champion. He was the champion of HomeStory Cup 25, so Gumiho is primed to come out of this group. Looking at this group, I think both myself and Yaku, we were secure, and we were both kind of in unison, or that we were on the same page about Gumiho, how he should make it out of the group stage. It's all about who comes out in second place. Skilless, Lambo, Nightmare as well. Those are 3 strong players. Likewise, Fiant and Battle B, they can take maps, they can take series, they can influence who makes it out of the group stage as well. It is going to be more difficult for them to make it out themselves, but you know, not impossible, I should emphasize. And yeah, they can also still, of course, impact the group themselves. So it is going to be a wild group. Again, it is very unforgiving as well. As a reminder, 6 players, only 2 make it out. Like, it's really unforgiving. Just a really unforgiving format where only 2 players make it out of the group. So best of luck. Best of luck to all those involved. Let's catch up on the bracket and figure out where exactly we are headed. Let us go. Likewise, just catching up on the clean feed as well. Figuring out, oh, there we go. Figuring out where we are. Looks like the clean feed, oh sorry, the main feed, they are actually mid-series in Skilless versus Lambo. But let's switch our scenes over and catch up on the bracket. Here we go. Okay, from the top, we have Group A. Group A has been unfolding before us here. Round 1 has, of course, completely concluded here with a barrage of 2-0s coming in the first round. Round 2 is underway. We just wrapped up our series, of course. Gumiho takes down Fiant 2-0. I did just mention Lambo and Skilless. They are currently in game 1. It looks like their series was a little bit more delayed, actually, so they're just now in game 1. Likewise, we have Nightmare versus Battle B also ongoing. Also mid-series. Now, I believe, of course, Lambo and Skilless, I think they're on the mainstream. Battle B and Nightmare, I believe they're being casted by some of the other language casters. I think Enki, yes, Enki, the Spanish caster, he is covering that series. And quickly double-checking here to see if they're in game 1 or game 2 or even game 3. We'll just double-check. They're in game 1. Okay, Jesus. So it looks like the other matches were delayed. So we started first, we finished first. The other 2 matches are still in game 1. Now, because we finished so much earlier than all the others, we can actually jump in mid-series. We can jump in mid-series here. We can do so. So before the 3rd round, we will be jumping in mid-series into Nightmare versus Battle B. We'll just set that up. Nightmare and Battle B. Of course, we won't be joining the series that's being covered by the mainstream. So again, the mainstream, they have dibs on Skilless and Lambo. They got you covered there. We are going to be jumping in mid-series into Nightmare and Battle B instead. Again, they are currently in game 1, so we will be joining game 2. I don't know, of course, if they're, you know, going to be in, who's going to be leading the series, but we will be jumping in nonetheless. That is the plan. Is going to be the plan here. Otherwise, hope you've all been enjoying yourselves. And again, we're still in the early rounds of the group stage. The plan here for today is we're going to be covering the entirety of Group A, looking at these future matches as well, just to let you know, at least currently planned on the channel. Up next is going to be Skilless versus Fiant. Skilless versus Fiant is going to be up next on the channel, alongside Lambo versus Fiant and Nightmare versus Skilless. Nightmare versus Skilless at the end of the group. But if we encounter a situation like this, where we finish a little bit earlier, then we can get some extra casts and some extra matches going on in the round. Which is what's going to be happening here. So we'll have a bit of an extra series. We're more than happy to just jump in and cast extra games, of course. more than happy to. So see in the chat, Ducast Nightmare versus Battle be next. We will jump in mid-series, but we will miss out on Game 1. Game 1 is currently underway. Just as a heads up. But also, after we finish Group A, Group B is also today. You can see here it's scheduled to start in 5 hours. In 5 hours' time, we're going to be covering Group B. So if you're otherwise preoccupied, if you won't be available, if you have to go out somewhere, if you have to go elsewhere, you can come back in 5 hours, and bam, we're still going to be live with Group B. It's a lot of StarCraft today. Both groups, both Group A and Group B. Aye, aye, aye. Until then, we're going to be going on that short break, and when we come back, we will have our next series. See you soon. See you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Whew, I hope you enjoyed that lovely Brutal OC as we are jumping in mid-series. We're still here in the second round, and we missed out on game one. But Nightmare, he's leading the series 1-0. Again, shout out to Enki. Enki was casting that over in Spanish alongside some other language casters, but now we are jumping in mid-series and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Whispers of Gold. We have the red Protoss player from South Korea representing Streamer Zone, leading the series 1-0. It is Nightmare. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the German Terran player. We have the blue Terran representing Berserker Esports. It is Battle B. Not on Team Ready. I'll fix that up. I'll fix it. I got you. Don't worry. But here we go. We are jumping in, and if you're in the chats, predictions are now open. Place your bets on how you think the series will unfold. Best of luck in the chat. Of course, we are mid-series. If anyone in the chat did tune in to the previous match, I would love to know the outcome. Love to know what did occur. You can let us know. So we are settling into our PVT. First one of the evening.